All right, welcome to this explainer. Listen, if you're out there actively building or living in an anarchist commune right now, you already know the deal. Political theory? It's really only as good as its practical, everyday application. So today, we're going to neutrally break down the exact step-by-step blueprint for commune food autonomy that's laid out in the text, Food Sovereignty and Abundance. Okay, let's jump straight in with the text's core assertion, which is that true independence relies entirely on controlling our own food systems. The source actually states it super bluntly. Autonomy begins with the soil beneath our feet. And the premise here is simple, right? If you want a self-sustaining commune, you absolutely cannot outsource your daily survival to external systems, because if that outside supply chain breaks, the commune starves. It's that simple.
So, Section 1. Why food sovereignty matters.
The text defines food sovereignty as organizing totally independently of capitalist markets. And you might be wondering, why the total separation? Well, because the outside world operates on artificial scarcity. We're talking about systems that literally dump perfectly good food just to keep prices artificially high while people go hungry. For a commune, stepping completely outside this system means you avoid getting dragged into those manufactured crises, and you can ensure nourishment is actually abundant and accessible to everyone.
The source draws a really sharp contrast here. It argues that capitalism uses scarcity like a chain to keep people dependent on the market, maintaining elite control. A commune, on the other hand, has to use abundance as the scissors to cut that chain, creating true food sovereignty and open access. Scarcity is designed to keep a community tethered, but a commune thrives only when that tether is completely severed.
Moving right along to Section 2. The 4 Pillars of Commune Food.
This is where the text moves from high-level theory to the real, dirt-under-your-fingernails practical stuff. It outlines 4 specific pillars a commune must build to hit total food independence. These are 1. Gardens and trees, 2. Gift pantries, 3. Agricultural co-ops, and 4. Community canteens. Let's look at some really tangible examples of how the text envisions each of these playing out in your daily life.
For the first pillar, the text gives this great everyday example of integrating vegetable gardens directly into residential neighborhoods, and they suggest a really practical metric. Plant a vegetable garden ideally after every third house. Imagine that visual in your own commune for a second. You literally couldn't walk down your street without passing the very food that sustains you.
It also suggests planting fruit trees right alongside your walking and cycling paths. Picture this. You're biking down a path completely shaded by apple or pear trees, with complementary vegetables growing right beneath them. This simple design choice embeds food production directly into the fabric of daily life. It makes it a highly visible, totally natural part of your community's environment.
Moving to the second pillar, the document highlights gift pantries and community fridges. Just think of a simple, fully stocked fridge sitting in a common area. It acts as a totally gatekeeper-free zone for sharing surplus at literally any hour. The text notes these ensure food is always accessible day and night without any barriers. No locks, no prices, no one standing guard over the leftovers. Just nourishment whenever you need it.
Okay, for the third pillar, the text digs into the mechanics of agricultural cooperatives. Because, while neighborhood gardens are amazing, communes also need larger-scale farming to survive. These would be established by your local community assemblies. And here, members who work the farm earn credit hours for their labor, which they can then redeem through the commune's own internal economy. But here's the absolute crucial point. By rotating these seasonal farming roles, the commune actively breaks down the division between producers and consumers. This means everyone gets their hands in the dirt at some point during the year. So, your agricultural survival isn't just balancing on the shoulders of 1 or 2 stressed-out farmers. Those vital skills are spread across the entire community.
Finally, the fourth pillar uses community canteens. These provide free, collectively prepared meals for everyone. But the text adds a super important social dimension here. By using rotating chefs, the commune dismantles traditional gendered cooking norms, specifically the historical tying of women to the kitchen. Food preparation stops being an isolated chore and becomes a shared, communal art.
All right, Section 3, the myth of scarcity.
The source argues forcefully that scarcity, it's not a natural state of affairs at all. It is actively constructed, and constructed scarcity breeds fear, competition, and hoarding. It turns mere survival into leverage for control. On the flip side, constructed abundance, like those community fridges and neighborhood gardens we just talked about,
fosters trust, cooperation, and solidarity. The text insists that when there is plenty for everyone, when you absolutely know the community fridge down the path is always full, there is literally nothing to hoard and nothing to fight over.
Which brings us to Section 4, the psychology of abundance.
The text explores how building these pillars doesn't just fill stomachs, it fundamentally rewires human psychology. It completely changes how we interact, starting with trust. When everyone in the commune knows that food is freely available right down the street, the need to doubt your neighbors or jealously guard your own plate, it just vanishes. Suspicion gets completely replaced by a baseline of trust.
And this baseline of trust naturally shifts the community away from competition and toward cooperation. While artificial scarcity drives this violent rivalry just for a basic plate of food, abundance encourages neighbors to view each other as companions. You stop looking at the person next to you as a threat to your survival, and you start seeing them as a collaborator. As that competitive edge softens, the constant anxiety of survival gives way to real security. Think about the heavy mental load, the sheer brain power taken up by worrying about your next meal. With basic needs fully guaranteed by the commune's food pillars, that mental energy is freed up. The text points out that this energy is then immediately redirected toward creativity, learning, and building actual relationships.
With that security firmly in place, the isolation of just surviving alone is replaced by solidarity. And you find that in the simple, daily act of eating together at those community canteens. Sharing a meal in a common space naturally strengthens social bonds and deepens your collective identity. Ultimately, the source argues, this abundance replaces fear with joy. When food is abundant, meals stop being this fearful, stressful calculation, and they transform into joyful, communal celebrations. Abundance, the text claims, cultivates the absolute best in human beings.
Bringing it all together, the text insists that food sovereignty isn't just about agriculture. For a commune, it is an absolute political necessity. As we see outlined here, market dependence creates massive vulnerability to outside control. By organizing your own internal food systems, your gardens, your co-ops, your canteens, you create an independent basis for survival. It literally takes political autonomy out of the realm of theory and makes it a lived, daily reality.
The source concludes with this really powerful summary. Abundance disarms fear, strengthens trust, and makes autonomy lived rather than theoretical. Organizing these seemingly simple systems, like throwing a fridge on a corner or planting a garden every third house, reshapes the human spirit. It stops reducing people to desperate, isolated individuals and nurtures them as a cooperative community.
So I'm going to leave you with this final thought directly from the text to consider for your own communities. When food is abundant and shared, how does life change from mere survival to flourishing together? Once your commune secures its food and cuts that tether of scarcity, what wild new heights of flourishing become possible? Thank you for joining me on this explainer. I really hope this breakdown was helpful for you and your community.